Welcome to the Grandpa Channel, where stories don't fade, they get recorded. I'm Steve Harris. My grandkids call me Rivers. This podcast is where grandpas and grandchildren pull up a chair, turn on a mic, and let her rip. Grandpa stories are chock full of wisdom, life lessons, and frankly, funny as hell. Your stories are the magic elixir to help your grandkids navigate Mr. Toad's wild ride, aka life. Let's Grandpa. Listen up, grandpas. Have you actually pulled the trigger on recording your life story? I'm talking video, baby. They want to remember your corny jokes, your crooked smile, your rugged good looks, and the jaunty bounce of your voice. What if I told you there was a really easy way to do this? Recently, I sat down and I told my life story on video. Not the whole thing, but the good stuff, the messy stuff, the funny stuff, the parts I didn't want to forget and the parts that I did not want my kids and my grandkids to forget. Planted Media made it so easy. They came to me, set up everything, and then they did some editing voodoo magic that made me look like $1 million. Go to plantedmediaco.com and tell them Rivers sent you, and you'll get a nice little Grandpa Channel discount. All right, back to the show. And welcome to the Grandpa Channel. I'm Rivers, also known as Steve. Rivers is my nickname instead of Grandpa. I love it. We're interviewing today my good friend, Brent Nielsen. And I just figured out this morning that Brent and I have known each other for 50 years. Isn't it kind of weird to say that you've known somebody for 50? So our paths crossed as we served LDS missions in Finland back in 74 through 76. And so we have that shared experience. But Brent has been a great friend, and he's someone I go to when I have thorny issues, especially about my oldest daughter. No, I'm just joking. So anyway, tell us a little bit about your situation, your family situation, Brent, and kind of, I think it'd be really great to kind of hear what you're up to right now too.
Yeah. So Marcia and I had 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls. And from those 6 children, we have 26 grandkids.
That's high output.
Yeah.
High output.
And they go from age 22 to 4.
Wow.
So we have 3 that are back from missions, 2 on missions right now, and then some really little kids that I just went to Disneyland with. So
how was it?
It's oppressive for a 70-year-old, but it was fun. So we had a good time.
How big a group was it?
Let's see, we had 11 grandkids.
How many adults?
Well, their parents were there.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, their parents were there.
Oh my gosh.
But that I went with them, and it was fun.
Wow.
We had a good time.
I'm not a big amusement park guy. I'm impressed by people who can do that.
Well, unfortunately, we instilled in our kids a love of Disneyland when they were little kids.
Unless you're pumped.
So they think that's what you do with their kids.
So tell us what you're currently up to. It's a big deal.
Yeah, I received an assignment a couple of years ago to be over the Salt Lake Temple celebration open house. Mm-hmm. President Nielsen said we're not going to call it an open house; it's a celebration.
Really?
So we call it the celebration. It encompasses all of Temple Squares, visitor centers, Lion House, Beehive House, every part of it, the conference center.
Are things on schedule?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be unbelievable. So
yeah.
It'll be fun.
Tell me a little bit about, I'd like to ask you, did you know your grandparents at all, or even great-grandparents?
So my grandfather Nielsen died when my dad was 12.
Okay.
So
no,
I never knew him.
Yeah.
And his mother died when I was 2.
So
I didn't know the Nielsens at all. My older siblings knew my grandma Nielsen. But my grandma and grandpa Hatch, I knew them well. They were my mother's parents. But they lived about a block from us.
No way.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
It's almost like Leave It to Beaver Street and area.
So
and it was, you grew up in the metropolis of Burley.
So everything was a block away.
I learned a couple of very interesting words and phrases from Brent. One was, you'll laugh when it's funny what you remember. One was a hay hauler. And then
farm people would know what that is.
Yeah. And then another one was a Tim. So if you were called a Tim, that wasn't really a compliment.
No.
But I learned a lot of other things from Brent that were far more significant than a hay hauler and not to be a Tim. But growing up, I mean, your dad was the local lawyer, wasn't he?
Well, there are a lot of lawyers in Burley, but he was a lawyer.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did he go to law school?
University of Utah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was called Nielsen, Nielsen, and Nielsen. He was there with his brothers. And
I didn't know that. Okay.
His older brother went to Stanford Law School, then came back to Burley.
Yeah.
They had both grown up there.
Yeah.
So,
how would you describe your dad?
a great person, really fun to be around, very practical.
Witty?
Yeah, very witty. But he served in the Pacific in World War II, which really, I think it just brought realism to his life. And so he didn't have a lot of patience with certain attitudes that people had, because and he lived in a tent for 4 years in Papua New Guinea and the Philippines. So I think that changed him a lot. But yeah, he was very fun.
I met him, I think, a couple of times.
Yeah.
Great guy. He died when?
1978, a month before Marcia and I got married.
Wow.
So we were engaged, and he knew we were going to get married and promised he'd be there. And then he died a month before.
Did he have much hands-on experiences being a grandpa? You're not the youngest on your family.
Not at all.
So that was passed him by.
His one cool thing that he did as a grandpa is that my oldest sister and her husband hadn't been able to have kids. And so my dad's in the hospital dying, and he was a lawyer, and he did a lot of adoptions. And he hears of a little girl who's available for adoption.
Really?
So from his hospital bed, he got the adoption done for my sister, and he was able to hold his only grandchild.
Wow.
Just before he died.
Think of divine coincidences involved in that. That's pretty crazy.
So he did hold his one granddaughter, my niece Alicia.
So your grandfather, your maternal grandfather, did you know him well?
Oh yeah.
And what was he like?
Yeah, he was a very quiet person, pretty stern. Folks back in those days, they didn't have a problem with some of the language that you and I refrain from. So he just, if he got upset, he would use
profanity.
A few. None of the things we use today, but that others use today.
So what did he do for?
He was the manager of the sugar beet company in Burley. And he and my and his mom and my mom were all from Cache Valley. So they were all from, my grandma Hatch from Paradise, and he was from Franklin, Idaho. My mom from Cornish. So they all went to Utah State, and my mom went to Utah State. And then moved to Burley. Yeah. And so the way my mom and dad met is that my grandpa Hatch was the stake president, and my dad's oldest brother, who was 18 years older than he was, and he was his law partner, not at the time, but they had a stake presidency party in the summer. My mom was home from Utah State and came with her parents, and my dad came with his brother, and my mom and dad met at that stake presidency party.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had just got back from the war.
And then your mom passed away when?
I think it's been 8 years ago now.
Wow. So she was a widow for some time.
She was 92. She lived longer without him than she did with him.
My Danish grandmother, my grandfather died in 1952. Then she died, I think, like in 1997. That's a long time to be single. It was interesting. My middle name is her husband's, my grandfather's first name. And I feel like I know him because how much my grandmother talked about him and in glowing terms. And I kind of go, oh, come on. But that's how she felt. She missed him so much. But yet she was really cool about kind of telling me things about him so that I felt like I really knew him. And I was proud to have his first name, Wilford, as my middle name. And so anyway, it's even dead grandpas can have big effects on, our lives, I think.
Well, my middle name is Hatch.
Oh, okay.
So that's my grandpa Hatch. He was interesting because he was a very quiet guy, but he wrote to me on my mission a lot.
Did he really?
Yeah. I mean, he would write letters. He'd served a mission, and he would write letters to me a lot. which was interesting.
Have you kept the letters?
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. He helped finance everybody's mission in our family. He wanted to be part of that.
Oh, that's very nice. Has there been anything about being a grandpa that's really surprised you?
So we have something very intentional that happened to us. Marcia and I had 6 little grandkids, and then I received a call to church service, and we immediately were sent out of the country.
Was it really the Philippines?
We went to New Zealand first, then to the Philippines later. We were gone for 5 years. During those 5 years, we had 10 grandkids born, which was really hard on Marcia because she couldn't go there to be with our daughters and daughters-in-law. But we made a specific decision that we had to maintain contact with these kids. And fortunately, New Zealand, when it's Monday there, which was our preparation day, it's Sunday in the United States. And the same in the Philippines. So what we were able to do is every Monday, we would go from 8 till noon and call all 6 kids.
Really?
We did 30 minutes with each kid, and just intentionally to stay in touch with our grandkids. And one of our grandkids said, we're the computer grandparents, but it really helped a lot. Because they saw us every week, I mean, we were on the computer and at least they saw us, and maybe more than they do now. Our little grandkids now probably don't see us that much, but our kids were good about it. I mean, they all knew it was Sunday night for them and Monday morning for us. So we'd just send a text out and say, what time can everybody fill in? And anyway, we did that religiously, and that was really helpful to stay in touch with those grandkids that were growing up. 5 years is a long time to be away and not see them, Yeah. So we left with 6 and came back, and there were 16 grandkids.
Oh my gosh, that's
great. It had grown a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So what other intentional things did you do to try to help bridge that geographic gap?
We used all of our retirement to fly them to New Zealand and the Philippines. Literally. I mean, we had all of our kids, and the Philippines isn't a kid-friendly place as much as New Zealand was. So all of them came to New Zealand. Yeah. We didn't have all the little kids come to New Zealand. Some of the older grandkids came.
I bet they
all the parents came. It was a pricey thing, but we just
it's worth it.
Yeah. So the ones who can remember coming to New Zealand and the Philippines.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you're quite a cosmopolitan, notwithstanding your humble Idaho upbringing. But tell us where in the world you've been on kind of church assignments. We've talked a lot about one area in particular, and I want to I'll ask you a question about that but where have you been, and what's your impressions as you've been literally traveling throughout the world?
Yeah, so I served in the missionary department, which allowed me to travel a lot to different places. So, but every weekend for 20 years, I was at a state conference somewhere. So I've been to every state in the United States except Alabama.
Really?
Haven't been to, and Wisconsin. Sorry. I was trying to think there's 2. I haven't been to Wisconsin or Alabama. But, I mean, once you go south, I've been to every country in South America, Mexico, Latin America, Russia, all of the European countries, been to Saudi Arabia. There's not many places we haven't been.
You'd been to Africa extensively. What did you learn about being a father and a grandfather by observing, these, sort of families in action and the people of the world? What kind of lessons have you distilled from your travels?
Well, sad to say that most people who live outside the United States and third world countries, they're way more family oriented than the United States. I mean, the moms and dads their family is everything, grandparents. Most grandparents in those countries, there isn't retirement like we have here. So the children take care of the grandparents. So they live with them. And when they have little kids, the grandparents are the ones that really take care of those kids so the parents can go make a living. So it's interesting to watch. Most cultures outside the United States are like that. But first world countries, no. First world countries, the relationships aren't as strong and deep as they are in those countries where the grandparents actually live with the kids.
Has it been your observation, not wanting to put words in your mouth, but has there been a deterioration in your mind of families and interfamily relationships, or am I not looking at it correctly, or is it a mixed bag?
I think within the church, it's really still pretty strong. As members of the church in the United States, I think we're really focused on our kids and families. Generally in our society, I think it's way less kids, very few kids. Now it's grand dogs,
furry things.
Instead of having kids have dogs, which is interesting to see the evolution of all of that.
Yeah, I know.
So anyway, but yeah, I think in the church, it's pretty amazing still.
What have you observed, maybe focusing, if you would, a little bit? What are some of the takeaway lessons from visiting like the Congo or, some of the other places? And I'll give you a spoiler alert. When Brent and I'd go out to lunch, he'd share pictures of, his journeys with he and Marcia that were just absolutely fascinating, because we grew up in a time when the Congo was just on fire with rebellion and killing Europeans, and and the Europeans have been terrible overlords. A lot of the people in Africa. How has your service in Africa, I guess, how's it changed you, and had changed you maybe as a grandpa and as a father?
Well, I think that it's amazing to see how faithful and religious those people are. I mean, they readily accept the gospel. DR Congo is one of the places in the church where the church is growing more than any other place. Another temple was just announced there. It's incredible to see the growth of the church. Marcia and I had a stake conference in Kinshasa and DR Congo. And, if I went to a stake here and we might have 1,000 people come, I have a stake of 3,000. And there, they almost had 3,000 come.
Wow.
And it's like that when you go to Tonga. It's like that when you go to Samoa. I mean, everybody comes to church. And so as you're driving to the stake center, everybody in the Congo is going to church, not just our church. I mean, they're all dressed in beautiful clothes and all making their way to church, which is really pretty fascinating.
It's really.
So the bad news is colonization of those countries. The good news is they taught them about Jesus Christ. So
that is,
those European people that came, and they speak French in the Congo, but they definitely learned about Christ.
Yeah. Have there been some surprises to you being a grandpa? Has there been any surprises to you? Hopefully pleasant rather than unpleasant. But.
Yeah, I think probably the surprising thing to Marcia and me has been the ability to have a wonderful relationship with 26, I mean, you just think that's so many, but individually we just, you get to know them, and pretty soon they're your best friend. And so, and it takes a while. The little teeny grandkids, like my 4-year-old granddaughter, she doesn't, I mean, she knows I'm grandpa, but as they get older, you begin to bond with them.
I've always thought before I started having grandkids that I wanted to have grandkids where if they saw me, they would just light up like a Christmas tree. And, I found that there are some that do, and some, like you're saying, that are just kind of hanging back. I've got a 1-year-old grandson who I think he likes me, but he's just kind of shy, and I'm trying to win him over. And I love this idea of focusing on the one. What have you done to try to focus on the one, you and Marcia?
Well, Marcia is actually she's the driver behind all of this. In fact, maybe this doesn't happen to you, but when our grandkids come to our house, they always say, "I love coming to Grandma's house." I'm like, I live here. You guys know that, right? I say that to the mortgage. I say that to them a lot. I live here. I know you say, I guess it's Grandpa's house too, but they call it Grandma's house because she's amazing. And she's the one that has kept everything going. She volunteers all the time. Everybody knows there's an open invitation that if you're going anywhere, you're going on a vacation, you're doing anything, I'm going to take care of your kids.
Really?
So they'll come to our house, and especially the young ones, that's where we've got to know them best, is when they'll come while their parents are gone.
Yeah.
And we've had a really good experience with that.
I think that one of the reasons why we're doing the Grandpa channel is to help grandpas connect with their grandkids. And I am not coming at this from a, hey, I've got a wired, let me tell you how to do this. It's and there's plenty of reasons for me to be humble. But, I want to be better, and I want to connect. Like you said, I want to connect and have individual relationships with each of my grandkids. And for some reason, my mom and dad, Lou and June Harris, they were the masters at that. And each of my kids feels like they were something special. And I just, trying to figure out what that magic is. And it sounds like you guys have got that magic.
Well, Marcia has worked really hard to make sure that happens, which is helpful. As you know, in order to be a good grandpa, but have to have a good grandma that's doing it. But she makes sure those events happen.
One of the things that I think that grandkids are really looking at is we live in a crazy world. If you focus at all on any sort of news sources, you're just going, oh my gosh, the world's going to end tomorrow, if not next Tuesday. And how do you see your role as a grandfather as perhaps a fountain of peace? I like the visual, you have this beautiful fountain and you have grandkids coming to the fountain. You and Marcia are sitting, on the edge of the fountain and beckoning them. It's like the tree of life in the Book of Mormon. But how is it that you and me and all of the other grandpas, how can we be fountains of peace for our kids in times of trouble?
Well, I think President Nelson and Elder Kieran have put words to what we have done with our kids and grandkids. We used to use the word fun, we try to make the gospel fun, but the word they use is joy, which is way better. So our goal is to make living the gospel a joyful experience. That being a member of this church is a joyful thing. And we have a lot of fun doing it. And there's a lot of fun things about being a member. There's a lot of fun things about our culture that we can joke about. And so we've tried really hard to let our kids know that this is a joyful experience. And I think all of our kids were raised that way, that this is a fun thing to do. We called it fun then. I like the word joy. President Nelson just said, do away with all the rules of the Sabbath day. Let's make it a joyful experience.
Yeah.
And I love that talk.
I think the same could be said too about, family relationships, having like this checklist, but how do we make it a joyful family, relationship?
So that's been a big thing for us, is that this is a joyful thing. And I think that brings a lot of peace, brings a lot of stability. When they can, being a member of the church isn't some odd, weird thing. And it's actually a part of our life, and it's a joyful thing. And we have a bit of a challenge because our kids and grandkids they'd always see the church side of us. I mean, they're at home watching General Conference and I'm speaking, they know Grandpa's
on TV.
He's really serious. I almost had to go the other way to make sure they understood that this is a fun thing, and
a joyful thing,
and joke with them. And so whenever anybody's 8 years old, when they were baptized, we'd take them to General Conference with us and just let them experience that. And it was always and make it a fun experience for them.
Oh, that's cool.
So
we're talking two lawyers, one to another here, but I'm going to throw a hypothetical situation at Brent. Let's say you have one of your grandkids. Let's say that this is a 13-year-old granddaughter who is reasonably up on world events, maybe not, minutely so, but she is troubled and about the world, and troubled about what's going to happen, troubled about 10 years from now, what am I going to be looking at? Should I do this? Should I do that? But that granddaughter comes to you and says, Grandpa, I'm really worried. What should I do? Should I, give up on my plans, or should I do this? How would you counsel a granddaughter, a 13-year-old granddaughter?
Yeah, I would. We have a little saying in our family that whenever there's a bit of a trouble going on, let the world go around a few times, and it'll be a lot better. Just let the world go around a few times. But I think that the future is very hopeful. I mean, I would tell my granddaughter and my wife and I together that there's beautiful things ahead of you. I mean, there's nothing but blue skies, you know. We're pretty positive about what's available for them in their lives. And we're not doomsday folks. So I
don't want to.
I can't be pessimistic about what's happening because.
But as a lawyer, you're realistic.
Yeah. It's been interesting because I have 4 kids that are lawyers. And I think if nothing else happened to them, the one thing that happened to them is being a lawyer caused their testimony to grow.
Yeah.
Because they saw this other side of life. They're just like, wow, I didn't realize all the problems people have. Living the gospel is amazing. It brings joy to my life. It brings happiness. And that experience caused them, interestingly, to make that clear distinction.
How would you like to be known by your grandchildren? What words would you smile if they said, Grandpa is, how would you like to be known by them?
So it's that contrast of, I would say, steadfast and immovable, but a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably the one thing my grandkids know about me is that I always taught them all of my Campfire songs that I sang in Boy Scouts. And they all know them. Yeah. I mean, they sing them. Yeah. We sing them in the car whenever we're driving. And some of them are pretty outrageous, you know?
Yeah. Around the campfire.
Yeah. Just things I learned as a Boy Scout, you know, and it's fun when you've got little 4, 5, 6-year-olds to teach them these camp songs. Yeah. So they think that's pretty funny, you know, and they always want to sing those songs whenever we're traveling.
Oh, that's
Grandpa, funny. Let's sing Catalina Madalena, you know. I don't know if you know that one.
No, I don't. But it wasn't a diligent scouter, as they said.
I don't know that I was either, but I learned the camp.
Well, sometimes I'll break into song about my junior high, school song, or the high school song, or little ditties like, Dee's Restaurant, which was a fast food place, and they're all going, kind of, but it's kind of like, keep it coming.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And then on birthdays, I like to give my kids and grandkids a call, and in my best operatic voice, I don't have a great voice, I sing happy birthday to them, sort of wildly improvisational. And then I sing the Dutch happy birthday song to them, and like I'm an opera singer. The reaction of is just like, what the heck is going on here? To me, I would describe I would say that knowing you are both funny and fun. But here's where we diverge a little bit. I'm funny, but I'm not necessarily fun. And I've been thinking about that lately. And so luckily all 7 of my kids are fun, and they sort of kind of draw me out. And I think I need to have that as a grandpa, but
I think the older you get, it's harder to be fun. I mean, I'm not sure you're the
sore knees, or whatever.
But so singing to them, singing with them is a fun thing. Both my wife and I do. She's learned all the camp songs.
She really
knows them now, unfortunately.
I think one of the most important things that we have to do as grandfathers is, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is what's the best way to share faith to grandkids? What have you found works, and maybe even what have you found that doesn't?
Well, teaching our own kids how to do that. I mean, they're way better at it than we were. They're doing such a good job with their kids. But whenever we get together as a whole Brent and Marcia family, we always have a lot of fun things planned, but we also have a time where we're going to talk about spiritual things.
Right.
And we share our experiences. We have slides that will show them, videos of experiences. We had a really wonderful experience before our oldest grandson left on his mission. We had all of the return missionaries in our family come up and tell about their mission with slides. I mean, they only had like 5 minutes to do it. It wasn't a terrible, long, boring thing. And then we created a baton, has, the Nielsen family, and it's our missionary baton that we hand from one to the next, So
very cool.
Our oldest grandson was just leaving. And so now we're on number 5. We have this baton at our house that is where we hand that to the next person going, So
on a one-on-one basis, what do you think? What have you found that's been helpful and powerful?
it's hard with little kids. I mean, other than we sing primary songs with them too, but it's interesting that our older grandkids actually want to ask questions. Right. They want to talk to us about serious things, and they're especially good about calling their grandma when they need help.
That's cool.
Yeah. So we have 3 grandsons now. They're returned missionaries, and we've told them, we pray every night and every morning that you can find somebody to marry. And one of them's getting close. And the other 2, we remind them all the time because they want to do that. But they call with lots of questions about the gospel. So we have a lot of those discussions with our older grandkids. This summer, we did something really cool. We took our 9 oldest grandkids. So these ones that were a little tiny when we left for New Zealand, and we just took them to San Diego for 3 days. We flew them all there and stayed on the beach, and we had these 2 that are now in the mission field ready to go. So all the older grandkids, we spent time and had the older grandkids teach them about their missions and tell them one piece of advice. So every one of them gave a piece of advice.
That was powerful.
Yeah, it really was. To these 2 that had their calls. They had their mission calls, and they were leaving in about a month. So anyway.
Well, I think that's wonderful. So I'm going to ask some sort of spacey, new agey questions for you for a second. If I could somehow teleport your dad into this chair, and if you had just a few minutes to tell him, what would you tell him?
Wow, that's a powerful question. Bring tears to my eyes. I would tell him that he did a really good job raising his kids, and that this generation has gone on, and it's even better the next generation. I think especially because he had seen terrible war. I mean, he'd been involved in battle, watching people die. Wow. And so for him to see this generation of kids, I think would be a beautiful thing.
What do you think he would tell you?
He'd probably say, thanks for continuing this on. My grandkids never knew him, so they hear about him a lot.
You tell stories?
Oh, yeah.
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 And which leads me kind of to the next question is, what role do you think stories have from grandfathers to their grandkids, and what kind of stories should we be telling our grandchildren?
Huge, huge effect. I'm always surprised. So we have half our kids, 3 kids live in Twin Falls, Idaho, and 3 live here in the Utah area. And so we transport grandkids a lot back and forth. Marcia and I do. So we'll be going to Idaho. So we'll load our car up with Utah grandkids and take them there. And sometimes bring out
like migrant workers.
Yeah, and bring Idaho grandkids back. But the one thing they always want us to do is to tell them stories of when we're kids. And mainly because we've traveled that road so much. I mean, it's the road to Burley, So every place we have a story of something that happened there. So on the way, we'll tell them, you can't believe what happened here. And then they'll want to know. They'll even want us
mostly.
Oh yeah, they want to hear the same stories again.
Really?
Tell us that story again. We were just driving one time on the way to Utah, and on the other side of the freeway, this trailer just started. A pickup was pulling a camp trailer, and it just started to roll across the freeway. And we were the only ones there. I mean, it was out in the wilderness. So Marcia and I pulled over, and she ran over, and she's so funny because she's immediately does whatever needs to be done. Yeah. I'm very cautious. I'm like, Marcia, you might hurt them.
We might get sued.
She climbs in the cab. They're upside down. It's an elderly couple, and they're upside down in the cab, and she undoes their seatbelts, and they fall. Yeah. But they wanted her to, because they were strapped in, in their seatbelts. Anyway, she's inside the cab helping these people, and unfortunately, I'm a little more cautious. I should have been in with her. But anyway, so that story, they always love to hear Grandma. And finally, a doctor had stopped, and Marcia's in there giving aid, and he says, "Are you a nurse?" And she goes, "No." So,
Mom.
She stayed at a Holiday, and that was we always joke about. Anyway, so those are the type of stories that over the last 50 years have happened just on the road to Idaho. So they always want to hear those stories. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do they like you? Do they like you at a certain
Yeah, they sometimes they know them better.
And I guess the next question is, have the stories changed at all over the years?
A little bit. My wife just spoke at one of our grandkids' baptisms.
Yeah.
And she told a story that happened when our kids were growing up in Idaho.
Yeah.
At the baptism. And we have one particular grandson who really loves all of the stories.
Yeah.
And he comes up and he goes, "Grandma, how come I've never heard that story before?" He said, "I would have led with that story. I would have led with that story if I knew that." It was so funny that how did I miss that story?
Yeah, that's a new one.
Are there more? Are there others?
I spent a period of time when I first got this idea about the Grandpa channel, and we had, sometimes I just used my phone and I'd tell stories, and I did a spreadsheet where I kind of had short kind of summaries of the story I want to tell, and then I'd tell the story, and I did about 100 of them. And, the more stories I told, the more I remembered. Yeah. And I just think that what it did was it helped remind me how much the hand of God is in our lives. And sometimes I'm slow. It takes until you're 70 to figure some of this stuff out. And so it was such a great blessing. And I just think that stories are really an untapped power that grandpas have. And this is a perfect example of, they probably look forward to the trip to Idaho.
Yeah. Well, the minute they get in the car, they want to hear stories.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That is really cool.
We actually learned this. Governor Michael Levitt, he spoke at a family history thing.
Yeah.
And he's just taken everything he can remember as a child and written a story about it. And he's actually published it for his kids. So he has like 100 stories of his childhood that he's published. And that kind of gave us the idea that maybe these stories aren't as boring as we think they are.
I mean, it's nice if you can jazz them up a little bit and be an effective storyteller. But I would say that, what you really want to do as a grandpa is lean into, your quirks, your vulnerability. If all the stories just paint you as Jack Armstrong, the All-American,
none of us,
then it's not going to fly. It's just not going to fly. Oh my gosh.
And all my kids know about Finland. I can't not tell them about what a cool place that is.
I tried to talk a lot about Finland when the kids were growing up. And yeah, in fact, I had kids, I found out after the fact that they were bummed out that they didn't get called to Finland.
I sit there every time our kids are opening their call, our grandkids, hoping that one of them is going to get a go there.
And you didn't get a dispensation for that, right?
Nobody's gone there yet.
So the final question I've got for you is, you've got the bully pulpit here, the proverbial Teddy Roosevelt bully pulpit. What would you tell grandpas? We have this vast following, I think it's over 100 now. And, people coming in and hopefully finding some inspiration, some ideas on how to be a better grandpa. But Brent, what would you tell the grandfathers of America, or actually the grandfathers of the world, based on your unique experiences of traveling all over the world, but being a dad and being a grandpa and soon to be a great grandpa? What would you say?
Well, step number 1 is to follow grandma's lead, because she really gets it.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. And I think all of our wives are like that. And they really understand what this is about. And, when she says, let's watch these kids for this weekend, it's like, okay, let's do that. And because she just has a good sense for that. And frankly, I think it's a heavenly gift that moms and grandmas have, that they know what's best for their kids and grandkids. So make sure you follow the lead of the grandma. But beyond that, I think for us, it's been, I guess if I could just say it in a term, it would be called joyful discipleship. Joyful discipleship, that we teach our kids how to be disciples of Jesus Christ, but it's joyful.
It's joyful.
We used to call it fun, but it's joyful now. And it's not a burden. It's a joyful thing. I always say that as a disciple of Jesus Christ says, no matter how high, no matter how far, no matter how long, no matter where you ask me to go, I'm there. And I teach that to my kids and grandkids.
Well, you've taught it just by what you've
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
So we just try to help them know that if the Lord calls us, I mean, right now we have a grandson in Honduras. And when he got that call, he was like, isn't this a pretty dangerous place, Grandpa? I said, it is. But disciples,
where
we go. But we're joyful disciples.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't going to be drudgery. It's going to be, we don't want to go if we're not going to have fun, right?
No, I think that's right.
So I think if I could say anything, it would be joyful discipleship, which I felt from President Nelson a lot, and became really good friends with Elder Kieran. He's just an amazing, joyful person, you know. I loved working with him, and every talk he gives is about that. It's about being joyful. And he's a convert.
And he says it with such a beautiful voice.
He does.
That accent is just so lovely.
But he's a convert of when he was in his late 20s, you know, and he just immediately could see that these people are way happier than everybody else. Why are they so happy? And so he focuses on that happiness and the joy that it brings.
Another question, the final question. If you have this bully pulpit, what advice would you give grandkids?
Yeah, good. You know, I don't think my brothers and sisters and I, because we just lived a block away from our grandparents, we'd always go up to see them and take things to them as they got older. We'd take food up to them, but I don't think we realized that they had needs, you know, and one of those needs is that they just would enjoy talking to you and listening to you instead of just, hey, here's the stuff, see you later. It takes a very mature grandchild, probably much older, to figure out that grandparents really like having you there, you know. And some of our older grandkids have figured that out. We have a granddaughter, she's married, and she just, whenever she's walking, she's at BYU, whenever she's walking from home to her class, she'll call just to talk to us as she's walking, which is wonderful for us. We have a granddaughter that wants to talk to her grandparents, you know. So, so just realizing your grandparents actually have feelings and needs, and that they love you. They want to hear from you. I'm so grateful. This just past Monday, our two missionary grandkids are texting early in the morning, trying to figure out what time can we talk to you guys. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Fun.
So that's always a cool thing, is that they want to talk to their grandparents.
Yeah.
And we try to write to them every week. So Marcia and I are just pretty diligent about that we write to our missionary grandkids every week.
That's something I did with all of my missionary kids, was a weekly letter. I can't fix anything to save my soul, but I can write a mean missionary letter. Yeah. What I found with a couple of the kids is they didn't particularly care for there was always a weekly message, and they tolerated it, but what they really wanted, and this is back before phone calls from missionaries, but what they really want to know is, how are things back home? How are their grandparents? And so I figured that out pretty quickly and thought I could have spent a lot less anyway. Well, Brent, I thank you for your friendship, and thank you for coming on here.
Well,
and
thank you.
I think that your life's going to get pretty crazy with the open house coming up in 2027.
With every passing week, it gets a little more intense. We're getting there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
It's going to be fun.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
And thank you for listening to the Grandpa Channel.
That's it for today's episode of the Grandpa Channel. Leave a review, share it with a friend, or better yet, tell your favorite grandpa. We're on a mission to gather 1 million grandpas, storytellers, wisdom keepers, and lovable wild cards. Until next time, keep the mic hot, the memories fresh, and the jokes just slightly inappropriate. I'm out of here.